Drug addiction is at an all-time high in our society. We do have structures in place to solve this problem. However, there are great challenges with this structure. Today we have with us Mr. Babatunde Okoya, the founder of Family First and Children Welfare Initiative, and we're going to be talking about drug rehabilitation and its present challenges. My name is Omilola Oshikoya. Welcome to the heart of the matter.
These things sometimes are psychological.
I said to the financial cost
as one of the
many
messages
was enormous.
was a God experience. I just wanted to find God.
Simply feeling like you're inspired isn't always so.
Tell us about the solution.
As one
People
of
with
many
18 to 35 years of age out of work.
Hey, I don't have the skill for this particular problem to solve this particular problem.
None of us talked about the bread seller.
Welcome back. We have with us Mr. Babatunde Okoya, the founder of Family First and Children Welfare Initiative. Mr. Okoya, thank you very much for coming to the House of the Matter.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Welcome, sir. So what do you do? Can you tell us what you do?
My name is Babatunde Okoya. I have a background in social work. I also have a background in law enforcement. I'm a youth preservation specialist. I'm a family preservation specialist. I'm a child protection worker. I'm a drug rehabilitation specialist. I have all these opportunities living and studied in America.
Okay, so can you tell us how you came about this?
Well, at the beginning, I thought that what I want is to make money, and I have a first degree in business administration, but my grandmother is telling me that you are not here to make a money, you are here to make a difference.
Your grandmother?
Yes, just like a dream talking to me, say you are here to make a difference, help people who are in need and help people who are suffering, lift them up. And this is what I fought for so long. Then I said, well, let me just do what the Lord has me to do, helping people. And by doing that, the opportunities I have in the state of Minnesota is greater than going after money.
So what were those opportunities?
Well, I received an award of excellence from the Minnesota School Age Care Association in 2001 for caring for the needy children and for people who are chemically dependent.
That's drugs.
Yeah, drugs. And I also serve as Commissioner, City of Brooklyn Park, Commissioner, City of Brooklyn Center, Commissioner, Hennepin County, and as a director of Minnesota Human Rights Commission and Minnesota Children of Color Initiative Advisory Council.
Wow, that's a lot of accolades.
Thank
so
you.
what made you come back to this side of the world when people are trying to run to...
You look at it and think about home and think about the suffering. We have enough drug rehabilitation specialists in America or in the state of Minnesota in particular. And when I look at the situation back home, it's like there is nothing in place to work with the young addicts or people who are chemically dependent. And I look at the structure on the ground, it's like we are going back as if we are in the early 70s.
Before we even talk about church, can we talk about what is the state of addiction or reliance on chemical in Nigeria? What is the statistics, and what's the situation?
The situation now is very, very bad. It's very critical because we don't have our government investing in rehabilitation of addicts. And
so what is the situation? How bad is it?
It's very bad. It's very bad right now that
numbers?
It's not just among the male. We are beginning to see the uprise of women, young girls, young adults, female, getting hooked up in drugs.
What kind of drugs?
Marijuana, inhalants, all this, something that they can easily...
Even the stronger...
Yes, and some of them are on cocaine. Cocaine is very expensive. It's common among the elites. But for all these things that is common within the low-income class earners, you see them taking...
But some young people will say marijuana is health, medicinal. Some will say, in the States, in some states it's actually legal.
Well,
So can you actually, does it have bad side effects?
It has, it's something that you take and then you hooked up on it. Some people are saying it's good for them because they have medical health related matters, and it has been approved in some states as a medicine for them to take. But when you look at the effect of marijuana, it affects the brain, it affects the body, it affects the emotion. It's not something that you just toy with. It's dangerous. It's dangerous itself. It's something that you need to be running away from. But in our society today, when you go around Lagos Island, I grew up in Lagos Island, you hardly see people smoking marijuana on the street of Lagos in those days, in the early 70s. But when you go around in Lagos Island today, people are not even hiding it. The young people smoking marijuana in those days, they hide it from people. They go to the seaside by marina to smoke. But you go around Lagos Island right now, or all the inner cities of Lagos, you see them bringing it out openly. And we are breeding generation of addicts, people who are going to be smoking marijuana without anything in place to caution them.
Can we also talk about what about the really hard substances? Is that prevalent in our culture as well? Cocaine, heroin, and all those?
Well, it's not something that we have accessible to us in the past. But because there is money in it, Lagos has been looked at as an hub for cocaine. People coming from Asian countries, bringing it down to Lagos. When you look at the newspaper every day, you will be so sad that despite the technology and the equipment put in place at all the international airports, we still have people saying or bringing it down to the country, thinking that they will not be caught. Some people will put it inside they will inhale it, they will do a lot of something stupid that they are not supposed to do, but they are still bringing it in. But one thing I want to tell people is that it's blood money. Because people taking in cocaine, some of them can have irregular heartbeat. Some of them can go from there. Some of them don't even know where they are. So it's not something that you can toy with. It's something dangerous entirely. But unfortunately, in our society here, we are not making noise about it. We are not educating the masses about these dangerous drugs. We are not reaching out to the young ones at an early age.
So, exactly. So I want to talk about, what about, what age is it prevalent? Is it just the older, or is it also affecting kids now?
If we start educating our children at the age of 5, but I want to tell you something, that is something we call learned behavior. If you, as an adult, you are smoking marijuana in front of 2 years old, definitely that boy too will develop that pattern and be smoking when it gets to that age or maturity level.
I mean, I recently heard of a case where someone was talking to a young girl, and she was maybe in SS1, which is like, I think about year 9 or 10, 10 or 11, 10 actually. And she was suspended from school for bringing in alcohol, vodka.
Yes.
And so her aunt was, her young aunt was, talking to her. She was like, oh, I don't know why mommy is making such a big fuss about it, that it's not like I brought cocaine to school. And she's like, what do you mean? She's like, yeah, there are a lot of people in her
neighborhood,
in her school, they take cocaine. And this is someone in year 10, which is maybe about 14 or 13, 14, and this is, the person that was telling me, this is not hearsay or something you heard on social media. The person that was telling me is someone that I know, and that's the person that spoke to the girl. And so I was like, wow, and apparently sometimes they even get it, and I don't want to say where they get it from so that someone that's watching, but, public spaces where, family-friendly public spaces where a lot of us go to with our children. So I guess it's getting worse.
It's getting worse, and the government needs to rise up. And all the private institutions too, including the faith-based organization too, they need to rise up, because if we are not educating our children about all these drugs, it's going to destroy them.
So obviously there needs to be a lot of awareness. But is it just Lagos, or are there other? What are the stats for Nigeria in general? What areas?
If you look at the history of the NDLEA, they have done their research work. And they
That's
believed
the drug
the
and
drugs.
law enforcement agency.
Yes. And they said that in the Southwest, this is where they cultivate it, Ondo State and some other states in Southwest. The South are the one distributing it. And the Northeast geopolitical zone is where they are really consuming it.
So it's actually almost like your business, like it's like a distribution of labor.
It's a big
like
business.
farming, cultivating. You cultivate it here, you
Yes.
distribute it here, and then you use it. Wow.
The NDLA, according to their statistics, they said that the Kano State we have the highest percentage of addicts.
Wow.
But I beg to disagree with that now, because when you look at the situation in Lagos right now, go to all the inner cities of Lagos, you will be afraid. Even to walk at 7 o'clock in the evening, you will be afraid, because you see most of these young and restless young people walking the street doing nothing, wasted, because there is no rehabilitation program in place. The Lagos State government, what they have a detoxification center.
Actually, I would like us to actually talk about that, to talk about what is in place currently, and obviously based on your expertise, your experience, what we need to put in place. But we need to go on a quick break. So, viewers, stay tuned. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back. We're still talking about drug rehabilitation and its present challenges. Mr. Okoya, before we went on the break, we were talking about the statistics in regards to drug addiction and drug abuse. But can we now talk about the rehabilitation centers? What is the current structure? And then we can talk about what the issues are with that the structure that's on ground, and then your proposed solution. So what is the current structure on ground? And we're talking about from traditional medicine to detoxification. What is it? What do we have on ground?
The present structure we have on the ground from detoxification center.
So we have the detoxification
We have
centers.
the detoxification center in Lagos, but it's not enough.
So what's the difference between detoxification centers and rehabilitation centers?
Detoxification center is a place where you go to if you are chemically dependent, and you'll be there for 6 months, and the toxic and the chemicals out of your system will be out. You will be in the restricted area where you will not have an access to drugs. Rehabilitation is when you are out of detoxification center, what goes on after. And that is what we call aftercare management. And the aftercare management is what we are lacking in this society.
Okay, so we have the part one, which is the detoxification.
Yes.
But then after is rehabilitation. So what is the process
Even the
of rehabilitation?
detoxification center, we need to have what we call assessment centers.
Okay.
We don't have assessment centers in all the local governments where people can just go in and walk in and say, please, I need help. Here with the detoxification center, you have to write a letter. And people who are chemically dependent, they don't have the tendency or thinking about...
Yeah, but what about their guardians, their family members?
Well, their family members too. One thing you also need to understand with addicts, majority of the family members, they are not in happy mode. It's not a good thing for a parent to see his child going down. And there are situations where we have parents going down, the child going down, the parents goes down too. And that is where what we call codependency, when we think people who can help you cannot help you, and they are both going down. But if we have an opportunity where we have assessment offices in all the local governments, people can just walk in there and say, I need help. And they will do the assessment. From there, they will take them to detoxification center immediately.
Okay.
But we don't even have enough detoxification center to address the growing population of addicts we have in Lagos State. So we need more detoxification center, and we also need more aftercare management center, that when they are out of detoxification center, they have a place to go to continue.
Okay, so let's before we propose the solutions, let's walk through the current structure we have now.
Yeah.
So currently, if there's a drug addict, they will go to the detoxification center.
Yes.
For detox, and that is over 6 months. Do they stay there?
No, after 6 months they will be out.
Oh, so they go in there and they are admitted.
Yes.
Okay.
But the problem we have with that is that because of lack of structure in place, immediately you release an addict from where they have been, for treatment for 6 months, and they are going back to the same community in less than 48 hours, they will relapse.
So the structure. Okay, so they will relapse.
They will relapse.
Okay, so this
they
is
have
where...
been maintaining their sobriety for 6 months.
Okay.
But because they don't have another place to go, they are going back to the same place. And immediately they get back to their home base, they will go back to where they have been using. And they will introduce it to them, welcome back, and they will give it to them, and they will start using again.
Okay, so aside from the detoxification centers, what is the current structure with the NDLEA as well?
The NDLEA, they are trying.
Okay.
They are even stretching beyond what they are supposed to do. They have a rehabilitation program too. They also have brochures and flyers that they give out to people. But not everybody knows that NDLEA does that. Even the Yaba Mental Institution, they have a program for drug rehabilitation.
Okay.
But majority of these professionals, they are overwhelmed.
Okay. And then what about traditional medicine?
The traditional medicine is not helping the situation because years ago at Evans Street here in Lagos Island, Evans Street, there used to be Baba called there Baba Monkelegbe. He used to chain them as if they are prisoners.
Really?
Yes, and we don't see anything better, from era of Baba Monkelegbe in Lagos Island. Go all around Lagos Island, you will see thousands of our young people who have become an addict.
So the Baba would just chain them?
They chain them, and with that, we'll be giving them a concussion saying that it's treating them, and some people are saying that if
that was in the past.
That was in the
it's
past.
No longer.
No, that was no longer.
Okay.
That was in the past.
What about any faith-based initiatives currently that are helping?
The faith-based initiatives, if they can come together to work as a team.
So there are faith-based initiatives?
There are faith-based initiatives, but I don't see the effect or the impact on the society.
Okay, so now that we've talked about the current situation, what are the issues with what is on ground? Then later we can then propose a solution.
The issue on the ground right now is let us come together, whether it's a faith-based initiatives or whether it is the government or whether it is an individual who has the money to help these young people, not just the young people, to come up with a land, maybe about 50 to 60 acres of land, whereby once they are out of the detoxification center, they will go to transitional house. From transitional house, they will go to halfway house.
Okay, so now let's walk through that process. So what are we lacking? What is your ideal?
We don't have the structure per se on the ground to work with people who are chemically dependent.
Okay, yes. So what should we have on ground?
We need to have a program, effective program in place.
Okay, which is?
Which is having structures.
Okay, so that's physical structures.
Physical structures.
Okay.
Experienced people who are trained on chemical health.
Okay, so there's obviously a lack of professional.
Yes,
okay,
in the field.
Professional. So we need more
and then
professionals.
design an effective aftercare management program.
This is after the detoxification.
Yes.
Okay, so what should that look like? What should be the aftercare?
Aftercare management program is like having an aftercare manager, where these young people, when they are out of the detoxification center, someone they can go to and communicate with.
So just like accountability, talking.
Accountability and counseling. And the aftercare manager, through the modern science, can also say, okay, I have a bottle here, go to the bathroom, let me have your UA.
Let me test.
Let me see whether you are still using.
Okay.
And the aftercare manager also will be responsible if you want to go back to school because you are chemically dependent. That doesn't mean you cannot go back to school. If you don't have a work, that doesn't mean you cannot have a work. All over Lagos State, we have job acquisition skill centers. But our young people, whether male or female, they are not taking advantage of this job acquisition skills centers.
This is for the drug addicts to get jobs.
For normal person.
Okay.
But the drug, whether you are chemically dependent, you are not chemically dependent, it's a free program that they can walk into. But for people who are chemically dependent, they need somebody to motivate them to do that.
Okay.
And when you have them coming out of detoxification center, you can design what we call a goal plan. A goal plan means that you have to visit your aftercare manager regularly. You have to go back to school, or you have to go to the Lagos State Job Acquisition Skills Center to learn a skill. And then you also have to come to this center every Thursday or Friday night for support group.
Okay, so yes, so not to sound a bit blunt, but you know, when you watch movies, you see that you have people go to support groups.
Yes.
And they have.
Yes, when they go to the support group, you know, you will see people among them that has been sober for 1 year, sober for 6 months, and you will see some of them who have been sober for 3 months and then relapse. But come back to the support group just to be on track. But majority of them, because of lack of all these opportunities available, once they relapse, nobody is around to assist them. And we look at them, we have put a stigma on them in the society that they cannot be productive. And they can be productive if we have the effective program and responsible people who understand what rehabilitation is all about. People who can go to their house and check on them and check on their day program where they are going for all these programs that will assist them to become a normal, sane person.
Okay. I'd like us to talk about, you know, if there are any other things that could be in place, and then talk about, you know, what's the problem? Why isn't it happening? But we're going on another break, so we'll continue after the break. We're coming back. Stay tuned right after the break. It's good to have you back. We're still talking about drug rehabilitation and its present challenges. Mr. Okoya, so clearly you have a lot of experience. You have worked in the US. You've seen the way it's supposed to be done. You've also come to this part of the world. You have seen what's on ground, and you know the issues, and you have the solution. What's the problem? Why aren't we doing what we're supposed to be doing?
Why we are here today is that we are not investing in drug rehabilitation. That is number one. A lot of people will say, drug rehabilitation is a very expensive thing to do. Yes, it is expensive. But if we decided not to invest in drug rehabilitation, the problem is for every one of us. Investment in drug rehabilitation will solve this problem. And having the professionals too to do the job will help. And then we also need to bring all these agencies. Ministry of Health must be involved. Ministry of Justice must be involved. Ministry of Education must be involved. Ministry of Youth and Social Development must be involved. All these organizations must be involved to work effectively as a team, not competing with one another.
So is it a function of, is it because it's a cost issue, lack of funds, or is that there's no clarity on how bad the situation is and how, why it's very important for us to sort this out?
I don't know with Lagos State Government. Lagos State Government have the resources and financial wherewithal. Okay. But I think maybe they are not thinking about drug rehabilitation.
It's not on the priority list.
Yes, because when you look at the structure on the ground or what we have in Lagos State, we can have the best drug rehabilitation center in the world. They used to have a place at Isheri. During the era of Opayemi, Commissioner for Youth and Social, he invited me to go and look at the place. And I said that this is one of the best places we can have. All the facilities is there. But within a short time, they turned Isheri to another thing. But if the government can put in place something that can be of a blessing to majority of the young addicts and take them off the streets, not that you take them away from the street right now, for 6 months, and then you release them back to the streets. That is not a structure. And within 48 hours, they'll be using. But if we have a comprehensive program, sit down together and say, this is
Get
how
them
we
jobs,
want
skills acquisition.
how we want this thing to be designed. The Ministry of Justice will be involved because we need to have probation officers to be checking on these young people, whether they are doing the right thing or whether they are not doing the right thing, so that they can be sanctioned. But there is nothing like that in place right now. There is nothing like putting up a goal plan for people who are chemically dependent and saying this is how you should go about it. This is a counselor to assist you through the journey. It's a process. It's not something that you can go in and walk out. No.
Okay, so we've talked about the problem and,
Yes.
and solving the problem. Can we talk about how do we prevent this? So how do we avoid this from happening? Now, I'm not talking now from solution point, which is the rehabilitation. I'm talking about how do we prevent our youths and the next generation and our children from becoming drug addicts?
It's very simple. It starts from the parents and the school. If the parents can teach the children down, it's just like you're talking about sex education right now. You don't have to wait till your children is 10 years old before you start talking to them about sex education. At 3 years old, you can start them down. Don't allow anybody to touch your bum bum. It's the same thing with drug rehabilitation. Parents can sit their children down and say, these are the things that you need to do. These are the things that you can do. These morals that you give to them at an early age.
So how early?
3 years old, there's nothing bad in
But
telling.
would that not be taking away the innocence of a child? Especially, I can understand about sexual abuse, but in terms of drugs, like, isn't that, I mean, what do you say? This is cocaine, or do you show pictures? What do you do?
When you have too many young adults, many young men that's supposed to become a good father, walking the streets, banging their head here and there, saying, oh, what do you have there? And then you have your children looking at them in the neighborhood. Do you want to start educating your children at an early age? I don't want you to be like Mr. So, that we get drunk at 12 o'clock in the
that
afternoon.
helped. I mean, similar, because I remember when we were younger, we'll watch movies.
Yes.
And I remember seeing movies of people that took drugs. I don't know if it was Black American movies or, movies then in those days, you see drug addicts and how they, became.
Yes.
And so for me, just watching those movies and seeing the, the addicts in the movies, for me, it was like, that is a no-go area.
Exactly.
So I guess I get what you mean about,
at an early age. And then let them have all these information materials at schools, at faith-based organizations like your ministry. Give out all these materials to parents to talk to their children about it. And if you, as a parent, you are an addict, it is better for you to educate your children about it, rather than for your child to discover in the near future that, hey, my father used to smoke, my father used to drink, and then that shows that you are lying to your child. And for that child to be able to cope at that particular time is going to be very difficult. So it is better, early education is the best key to preventing drug addicts.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir, for coming. If people would like to support you, reach out to you, partner with you, how can they do that?
They can call me at 080 280 74332.
Okay, we'll have your details on the screen. Okay. So, but you're open to...
I'm open. And I'm also willing to, if there is any organization that wants to set up something like that, or aftercare management program, I'm willing to assist. If we
Do you have any programs coming up soon, any events, anything?
I have a program coming up soon at Shita, Surulere, for children living in the inner city, educating them about drug abuse, child abuse, and
That's
violence.
coming up this month, I think.
Coming up this month, and we are going to, on Children's Day, on May 27th, we are celebrating with the children, inviting professionals, to come to this community, to let them know that you can be living in this toxic environment. You can still become a very successful person in life if you are focused and have a passion towards learning. And that's what we are doing throughout this month.
Well done, sir. Very, very great initiative, and obviously a lot of hard work. And my prayer is that the right people would come and, run with this vision and support you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for having me.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode. We hope you've learned a lot as well. If you'd like to reach out to Mr. Okoya to support, to partner, or if you know people that can, help solve this problem that we have in our country, in our continent, please make sure you reach out to him or they reach out to him. The children are the future, and it's important also as we also create this structure and systems to solve drug addiction. It's important that we prevent it, and like Mr. Okoya has said, we have to start early. Thank you very much for watching this episode. Until next week, stay blessed.